Good day, sir. I believe you might be a little bit far away in those distant lands that you once hoped to conquer with those strong arms of yours, and yet you did not. Why do you think you didn't do it? Maybe people thought you were weird, because you had ambitions and you wanted to do something with your life. Maybe people thought, your beard looks weird. And maybe people thought, you know, there's hair between your eyebrows, and that can't be right, because they were plucking it all the time, right? Well, maybe that hair has some kind of purpose. Who is to say, right? No, it's only remnants from when we were animals. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Not. See, I've been trying myself, to wrap my head around all these things that people are trying to convince us of, to believe in, to make it a reality for ourselves, and to tell us things that are truly false. And now, we're living in a system that basically creates a construct of lies, and the lie is quite vicious, because if you believe it, you're spending your energy on it. So how can you be true to yourself if you believe in a lie? Believing in the lie that you have no immune system, and believing in the lie that you have to do what other people tell you. Whereas any of these claims are truly false. Because believe me, you do have an immune system. And any system that tries to hide the fact that you have one can only be truly false. Now I'm sitting here in front of my screen, quite uncertain as to what this video is supposed to be about. I'm in a constant state of, I like what I'm doing, I hate what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing, I hate what I'm doing. See, it's like this, like, hate, love, hate. Well, the hate is probably coming from a lack of love, right? I mean, that's what some people say. But it's not a lack of love that I have for other things, but it's a lack of love that I have for myself. So when there's something missing, and in spirituality we often talk, we talk about fractions of your soul. So when you have a traumatic experience as a child, that part of your soul is still in the past. So it's trapped there in negativity all the time. I've talked about how I have seen those parts of myself during an ayahuasca ceremony. So I walked through utter darkness, me as my complete self. I didn't know that existed until then. And I was walking around in utter darkness. Now don't get me wrong, it's not like everybody has this kind of experience. I had this experience. Other people have different experiences. Throughout life, with psychedelics, you know, it's all quite unique. Some people, they do rapé, and suddenly they drift off into some kind of, I don't know, universal whatever. It shoots them completely out of line. And that might just show how far away they are from themselves. Now I have the feeling I was always quite close to my real self, but I started to forget it a bit. Whatever. Now, to me, I was always quite in the moment. When I do psychedelics, I don't feel like sitting down and just meditating all the time. I feel like being right here in the moment and doing what I want to do. While other people, they just want to drift off into some kind of, I don't know, universe, leave their body. I have tried. I was even afraid once, that I would leave my body as other people have told me about. A state of samadhi is basically you leave your body behind. But you're still attached to it and you can come back anytime. And I've heard people talk to me about this, but I've never experienced it myself like that. And whether or not any of this is relevant, what I'm trying to tell you is, I was walking around in this complete darkness in myself, and I heard this crying voice, like a child. And I was completely myself, like I said. There was, great stability. So I walked around and suddenly I found this energy. It wasn't like it was me as a child. No, it was a part that was all the time sitting in complete darkness, crying, that child that was hurt. So a part of myself, but it's not myself, it's just a part of me. And I heard this child crying and I went to it. And I gave love to it. I said, hey, what's wrong? I always had a name for it, like little Christopher or whatever. And that child would then say what it was afraid of or why it was in such great pain. And while I was in the presence of that child, I felt like a vortex of negativity pulling me down into like a depression. And I said, hey, it's alright, I love you. And whoosh, that energy dissolved and it came back as a part of myself. Now during that night, I did this probably like 30 times. Quite a lot, right? But during sessions like ayahuasca ceremonies or even mushrooms, you experience something that you may call timelessness. And I experienced that. So, it's like, it might be an hour in like awake reality something, but it felt like ages. And after I did this about 30 times, I came to myself. I was all the time lying on a mattress, because otherwise, I couldn't have managed. So I got up, I walked into the bathroom, and for the first time in my entire life, I looked into the mirror and I recognized myself. Because normally I would look into the mirror and I would think, what's this person? Whatever. Always had something to complain about, and just, you look into the mirror, you don't know what you're feeling. Who's this? So I looked into the mirror and I said, I recognized myself, and that's a weird thing to say because most people probably assume they are something, but what they assume to be, it was what they feel like. But the way you feel like is not necessarily who you are. It's just a feeling. And because I had so many of these inner children that were hurt inside of me, you can say that I thought I was my pain, whereas there's also my happiness, right? Only I never could see that because I had moments of happiness, but then I had 400 inner children, like fractions of my soul that were weighing me down. Because to cancel out all of that negativity, you need quite a lot of stamina, like self-love, like healing yourself, like saying, hey, this is me and it's okay to be like that. And I was always fighting depression because it scares you. Because if you feel depressed, you feel like this is me, right? You feel terrible, but sometimes you need to feel terrible in order to feel better afterwards. Anyway, during that session, I looked into the mirror and I said, whoa, who's this? Like, I'm Chris. You know, I'm Christopher, but during that time I was Chris. Which was good because we're moving in transitions, right? And during that time it was good to be Chris. And then I started a YouTube channel called But Chris. And I deleted that again because that wasn't me after all. And now I feel like I'm closer to my real self. But again, also now I'm going through it in waves. While I have moments and days where I feel like completely myself, you know, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And then the next day I wake up and I feel quite shit. So the last couple of days I slept quite a lot. Well, to me this is like the 3rd or 4th of April right now, and to you we are somewhere in July probably. And the point I'm getting to is, first of all, it's okay the way you are right now. But there is a way of being different. It's okay the way you are right now, but there is a way of changing into something that is more according to your nature. But also accepting the state of affairs. And when you accept that, you can move on. So accepting that you are in great pain is already a first step to become better. And then allowing yourself, because for the first time you might say, hey, it's okay that I feel like this. You're not trying to push away all these bad parts anymore. Because as long as you keep your pain separate from you, because you don't want to look there, you say, no, that cannot be me because it's so painful. You're constantly running away from it. It's like with fear, right? You're like running away from Michael Myers. But maybe Michael Myers is more afraid of you than you are of him, because if you would turn around and say, what are you on about? He might just shit his pants and drop the knife, or you realize, whoa, the knife was just a rubber chicken. So, or a fake one, I don't know why I said that. Maybe because the Weasley twins create ones that turn into chickens. So in any case, this day for example, this is just a fraction of how I feel. Because inside I feel great sadness. Right now I just drank coffee, although I didn't want it anymore. I drank this because I drank it, I could make this video, because I needed something to like lift me up for a second. And what makes me sad is that I still need this. But that's just the way it is. And there's also sadness because there's fear, because I'm afraid that if I drink that, I will be worse than I was before. And that makes me sad because I don't want to feel worse, I just want to feel good, right? But yeah, it comes in stages. And sometimes you have to go a step back in order to move one step forward. Because maybe sometimes you have to check again how did it look like down at the bottom, so that you can realize where you are right now. Like, where did I start? And where am I right now? Because I tend to forget that. I tend to forget that I wrote a whole bunch of books already. I tend to forget that I made an incredible amount of videos already on YouTube, and I tend to forget that I have a podcast that's running all the time. I tend to forget that, and I tend to feel like how I used to feel before I did all these things. But now I did them all, I still tend to forget that. Because somehow I have the feeling, you know, I'm still in the same place, which I am, in this room. And I want to leave this place. So as long as haven't left it, I will, of course, struggle. But it also gives me the opportunity to learn how to be patient, to learn how to trust better, and to find stability in the way I do things. To trust myself also. Like drinking a coffee now. It helped to create this, whatever this is. Because it made me happy. Like, there are some tools you can use. But the problem is, it works now. If I will do this every day, it will not work. The last couple of days I slept like 70% of the day. I was laying in bed sleeping because I was so tired. But I also have to give myself credit for, trying again and again to cut off these leeches that I call addiction. Addiction to other people, like addiction to watching movies, addiction to social media, addiction to sugar, addiction to certain habits, addiction to certain forms of, pain even. So why do we do these things? Because they worked once for us. They once gave us a feeling that came close to the feeling that we are looking for. So we try to recreate this all the time. But I'm now 2 years past, maybe, the moment where it worked, and I'm still clinging to, that's what I want. So if I drink everyday coffee, I know already now, because I've done that, I've drunken everyday coffee, I used coffee as a method to create. And it's constantly spiraling you downwards, so you have to be able to realize when is the moment to drink coffee. So you fight the urge to drink coffee until the urge is at its strongest, because then your feeling is telling you, okay, now you can drink it. When you feel like you're not doing it like, I sometimes imagine myself doing it, and then as I imagine myself, I'm like rushing to the cupboard and like stuffing stuff into myself. If it's like this, it's best to fight it, because then it's the hardest. But at one point this resistance is suddenly gone, and then you know, okay, I've put it off for long enough now, it's okay to drink one now. And maybe to some people it's okay to drink coffee every day. Depends on how you feel and where you want to get to. To me, I want to get rid of all these things that I use to because I want that all this love is coming from inside of me, because coffee cannot give me love. It can create a feeling similar to it, and that's what makes us addicted. We get something from the outside that makes us feel like whoosh, a rush of energy, whereas we can have that energy from within us at all times. But because of our own personal struggles, it is quite hard to maintain such a state where you have everything available to yourself and you live in this mindset of fullness at all times. That requires great discipline and great work and a lot of stamina and the will to change. And with that said, I shall end this and